Okay, so last week Michelle was super amazing and did hamstrings and quads, right? Mostly. Okay, so there's one piece that we're gonna touch on before we start working our way up, and that's gonna be hips. So today we're gonna work a little bit into the psoas, we're gonna do IT band and then adductors. So we're gonna start on our backs today. Glue the soles of your feet together, allow the knees to splay outward, and just begin to breathe. And if you'd like to start working into the adductors a little early, you can place your palms on your inner thighs just for some added weight. And then just take a moment to take 3 big, full rounds of breath. And now close your knees. Walk your feet slightly wider than hip width distance. And then you're just gonna drop both knees to the left and then both knees to the right. And again, cycling through left and right. And then after you've completed a left-right, a full cycle, come to stillness with your knees up toward the ceiling. Press into the feet and come into a modified bridge. So your feet are slightly wider than normal in a bridge. And then we're gonna do that same thing, but this time with our butt lifted. So we're gonna drop both of our knees to the left. Keep pressing into the feet. Feel that stretch in the right belly. And then through center, keep pressing into those feet, drop the knees to the right. And again, through center, knees drop left, starting to get into that belly. Through the center and right. And then come back through center, drop your butt, cross your shins, rock yourself up, and grab your core. Just I'm gonna stick this guy right in the middle of the belly. Come to your tummy. Then just take a moment to start to breathe. You can rock from side to side, opening those tissues that connect to the ribs and the front of the hip. All right, and then come to center. And if you're not already there, go ahead and lower your forehead down to the backs of your hands. And then we're gonna make 3 meaningful breaths. So let's inhale together. Exhale, let that ball burrow into the belly. And again, inhale, press that belly into the ball. And exhale it out. 3rd time on your own cycle. And then slowly roll to your side, remove that ball, set it aside. Press yourself up through tabletop. So make sure that your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, that your knees are directly underneath your hips. This is gonna be a short downward facing dog. So we're gonna curl those toes under, sit our hips up and back, find that down dog. Extend that right straight leg out and then hug that knee in, plant the foot between your hands, lower down onto that left knee, uncurl the toes, bring your hands to the top of that quad and then sink down. And then pretend that you've got like a fishing net attached to this hip bone. Lift, lift, lift that hip bone away from the thigh. Feel what happens in that left hip flexor. And then relax it down. And then lift, 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 lift. And then lower down. And one more time, lift. And if you'd like, if you feel like you have enough space to wedge maybe an index finger or a middle finger in between that hip bone and your thigh, imprint some space there. Keep breathing. Go ahead and release hands down to frame that foot. We're gonna walk that foot out about 1 foot width's distance. Bring that right hand in toward the arch, and then curl those toes back really strong and let that knee float away. And if you'd like to play with this, you can kind of plant your left hand down and use your hand on the inside of your thigh to press away. Starts to get into that TFL a little. And then hands frame that foot again, walk that foot back in, curl the toes under, find your downward facing dog. And then extend that left straight leg out. Hug that knee in and plant that foot between the hands. Lower the knee down, uncurl those toes, come to the top of that quad, sink it down. And then while you're here, attach that little fishing net, lift, lift, lift that hip bone away from the thigh. And then relax it down. And again, lifting, creating space, deepening that stretch. And lower. And a third and final time, if you'd like to wedge that index finger or middle finger in there. And then lower down. Says hands to frame the foot, heel toe that foot out about 1 foot width's distance, left hand comes to that arch, and then float that knee out, mindfully flexing those toes back. And then you can rock, you can bring the hand to the outside of that foot, or if you'd like to go straight into working that TFL, you can leverage that hand in the inner thigh. And then hug that knee back to the midline, frame that foot, find downward facing dog. And then come back to your knees and sit your hips back. All right, grab your alpha. That's this guy. So there's this hip bone, right? And there's your belly button. A good starting point is to find the midpoint between those two marks. So we're gonna start on the right side, center of the quad. So that's top to bottom, left to right. We're right in the middle. I know some of you are post-WOD, so I'll try and make this as short and sweet as possible. Make sure your elbows are directly underneath your shoulders. We don't want any of this. So find integrity here. You're on the top of that quad. Press your forearms into the ground. Curl your toes toward your knees and then point your toes. Let that ball roll down toward the knee and then bring it back up. Flex it. And come back to center, lower that left hip down and then curl your heel in toward your butt. All right, rock to your right side, remove that ball. Let's do hip flexor TFL. So grab these bitty balls. So we're gonna start at the front of the hip, right? So here's this hip bone. You can feel this hip flexor right here. It's that pluckable attachment. That's where we're gonna head first. So let's start on the right side. We're gonna hit our bellies. So same setup as we just had. And all we're gonna do is just rock our right hip toward the ground and then our left hip.